Okay, so today we would be talking about how to scrape websites using make.com. Yeah, so let's just create a new scenario. Yeah, scrape. Okay, the website we'll be scraping is a glasses website. Yeah, let me just put it at that. So this is the websites we are going to be scraping. The good part of using make.com to scrape is we can abstract a lot of things. That's we wouldn't be writing a lot of code. Let's put it that way. So what you'll be learning in this video is you learn how to scrape. You would also learn you would also learn how a bit about or mainly about make.com. Then you would also be learning about AWS Lambda. And then you know why I mentioned AWS Lambda here, but let's get on. So for the scraping part, take for instance, we want to scrape a website like this. The reason for wanting to scrape a website like this is you might want to know the most expensive glasses and the cheapest glasses, or you might want to be monitoring for when price changes. So it depends on your use case. Or take for instance, we want to scrape a website like this. I'll tell you the first thing I do. I've been scraping for about 4 years. So I'll tell you the first thing I do when I want to scrape a website. The first thing is you go to your developer tools. I will just say you should press Control Shift I. Now you might want to ask, why are we going to the developer tools? First, I want to disable JavaScript on this website. Why do I want to disable JavaScript? I want to know the content I would see if I'm sending a request to this website just via HTML, because most of the scraping you will be doing will be via HTML. Okay, let's just run a simple example. I'll come back to this. Let me show you. Most of the time we'll be sending a request to this URL. So this is make.com and I want to send a request. I use the HTTP module. Then I go to make a request. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I paste the URL here. This is the URL I want to make a request to, which is the glasses website, and I press OK. So run once. So this is just a simple GET request. Okay. Yeah. So let's see our data. After the make request module runs, you'll see the output here. So this is the inputs. You can see inputs. I'm just explaining this for people that are new to make.com. And this is the output. The output is what we are really concerned about. So I'll check the data. You see, it returns the output in an HTML format. It returns the HTML of the whole website. This HTML we are seeing here is the one available in this HTML without JavaScript. Now let me show you. Control Shift P, JavaScript. So we first disable JavaScript. Oh, sorry. I want to make sure the JavaScript is disabled. Continue blocking JavaScript, and then we can refresh the website. You would see the pictures will go away and some other things. The picture goes away. That means the picture showing on this website is enabled by JavaScript. The pictures of the glasses. So let me put this down a bit so you can see it. But the good part is we can still get the glasses, the name of the glass, and the price, and that's what we are most interested in. So let's go to that. So if you see from the HTML we've gotten, which is in the data section, there is no way for us to pass this data in make.com. That's the limitation of make.com, and I'll show you why. I'll show you how. So we want to pass HTML HTML. Okay, yeah, we are going to be using the text parser. So these are the options available to us, right? When we want to pass HTML. We have the HTML to text, in which that we are going to be using. But now, if you're very used to web scraping, you would know that we need something that can enable us use selectors or XPaths or CSS selectors, right? But we can't find that here. This one is only to get HTML, that's search HTML tables and return arrays of rows and column. That's not what we're looking for. Get elements from HTML. This one we can only select specific HTML. If you want to get only links, only images, or only iframe, let's give that a test. We want to get only let's say only the links on these websites from this HTML. You see, we are using the data. This is the string, the HTML string. The data from the first module is a HTML string. So let's run this again. I just want to show you the limitations and I'll give you the solution. So yeah, scraping normally takes a while. That's why you see the module takes a while to run, because it's scraping, it's trying to extract the whole HTML. So the output of this is what we're interested in, and this is the output. Just as you see, it only gets the links, the A tags. The A tags are the links. As you can see, these are relative links, not absolute links. That's why you can see the slash, buy one get one free. Yeah, so we can only get the links, but this is not what we are looking for. We want to actually be able to go in, extract the name of the glasses and the price. So we need something that can really enable us to the parsing. That's where AWS Lambda comes in, right? Because with AWS Lambda, we can write just a bit of Python code that can get us through to do the parsing. So we can overcome the limitations of make.com. So I'll show you the quick process of, now we are going into, you're going to learn a bit about AWS Lambda. This is very useful for people that will be doing maybe very complex scraping projects and you want to use make.com. Maybe the reason you might be wanting to use make.com is maybe you want to pass it on to other things. Maybe most of your workflow is in make.com, so you want your scraping data to be available in make.com so you can do other things with the data, and I'll show you that too. So I want to find a way to pass this data, but I don't just want to be getting the links. Okay, I'll show you the other option available here. The other option available here is I do HTML to text. Let's see what we get from that. We pass in the same data string, then we run this. Yeah, we would get an entire, it will just remove the HTML tags and give us all the text, so you can see how long it is. The prices are here, the name of the, everything is here, right? But this is not what we are looking for. We want to do the real web scraping, like being able to extract specific details we need. So let's run through maybe the next 5 minutes and I'll show you how to do that. First, we need AWS Lambda. For people that are new to AWS, you would need to sign up to an account, right? Sign up to an account. This might be your first time seeing the AWS platform, but what AWS is, it's a cloud platform that you can do a lot of things on. So we are most interested in the AWS Lambda. I'll explain what Lambda is to you. Run code without thinking about server. So Lambda is a serverless platform in which you can run a piece of maybe Python or JavaScript code. And in this way of running it on Lambda, your code is already automatically available in the cloud, right? So I'll show you how to create a function in Lambda. They are normally called functions. You can see you can use Python, Node.js. These are the previous functions I've built. So let me just do a quick test for you to see how it is. Yeah, so we are going to be using, let me go through it thoroughly. So this is how to create a function in Lambda. We are using Python. Let me use Python 3.12. Python 3.12. And then we just create a function. So you can also select, oh, I need to name my function. So the name of it's classes websites scraping. Yeah. So create function. So what we would need to do is to write the code that will scrape the website. So we can easily write the code to scrape the website in Python, and we would use a package called Beautiful Soup, right? Beautiful Soup to pass the HTML text, because it's passing the HTML text that is the most important thing for us. So this is the console, or how the AWS Lambda looks like. So it is just like where we can simply write our Python codes and put it in the lambda function.py. So we can just run a quick test to see how this works. Events 1. So tests. So I just ran this code. You can see this is just a very simple Python code. It's not running anything in particular. It's just to return the status code and return this JSON hello from Lambda. And this is the results, hello from Lambda and the status code. So the first thing I'll do is I'll show you the Python script, and I'll show you how we can bring it onto this platform. So for people watching this, I might want to assume you have some experience web scraping, because this course is mainly, this video is mainly to show you how to connect your AWS Lambda, that's writing a Python code with AWS Lambda and putting it on, connecting it to your make.com so you can use the data in your workflow. So it's not a course mainly to teach you web scraping, but I'll still explain it because I want you to really understand what we are doing. So let me be sure the recording is going on. Okay, yeah. So let's go to so I'm just going to be writing the code here. So just create this is a VS code. You create a folder. You could call the folder, okay, since we are going to be sending the folder to Lambda function, we have to name it the same, lambda function.py. So let's just start from there. Or instead of that, let me just name it something simple, test1.py, because I don't want to confuse you too much. We're still going to get to that. So I'll just paste the code I've already written. You can see it's a short code, a very short code of how many lines? Let's just say 19 lines. So this is the code to scrape the website, right? Now, this is we are using Beautiful Soup to pass it. Using the soup, then we are selecting this. Let me show you how this looks on the website. We are selecting the container in which most of the classes are. So let me show you how this would look on the website. So we're on the website. I'll show you one very nice trick to scraping. Let me enable the JavaScript back, since I just wanted to show you that with JavaScript disabled, there are some contents that wouldn't show. So those contents will not be available on your normal HTTP request, right? You would need to maybe load up a browser to get it, or maybe use an hidden API on this website if they have one. So now let's reload this, because I want to show you like a few tricks that would make your scraping actually better. So I think I've enabled JavaScript. Allow JavaScript. Control-Shift-P. JavaScript enable. So you just press Ctrl Shift P to get that option. That's after opening your developer tools. These are the developer tools. So yeah, we can now see it. So I'll show you a quick trick while web scraping to make it easier for you. So on this website, we could have maybe, I think we have about 60 glasses on this first page for bestsellers. So I could, you can see where I'm clicking. I click once, then I bring my mouse over. If I stop here, this is div for only this glass, but that's not what I want. So I click again. I want the, you can see I'm at the very top, like the very first glass, right? But it's not the first glass I want. This is what I want. You can see the green line covering everywhere. This will cover for all. This is the div that covers for all the glasses. This is it. So you can see the way they name it. Let me scroll through. This is it. Product list. It covers for all the glasses. Let me keep scrolling. Covers for all the glasses. So that's where the div we want to concentrate on, and this is the ID, product list. So let me paste the CSS selector I copied, and you see that's exactly what I used. The div, the hash means the ID, so the div hash product list, then it will have this column. I want to select this column, right? You can see when I pasted the CSS selector, right, it put 60 items. That means there are 60 glasses on this website. What the first selector did, let me just copy this out. What the first selector did is select the entire container, right? In which that's what I've just showed you, selects the entire container. Then I knew I still had to drill down to this. This is the first one. So let me show you how this thing looks like for better understanding. This is the main container, and these are the sub containers. You can see these are all the glasses. As I'm scrolling through first, the second, the third, right? So that's why I still needed to go in. Sorry, I needed to go in one step down. Now I have 60 of them. So that's the first line. That's the first important line of the code. So before that, we are sending a request, then a CSS selector after using Beautiful Soup to get the HTML. So you can see these containers will be a list of 60. It will be a list of 60 eyeglasses. So after that, we will now run a for loop. Now we want to get the title and the price, and these are the CSS selectors for the title and the price, right? Let me show you that. These are the CSS selectors for the title and the price. So I pasted this. You can see this gets us the title, A active product. How did I get A active product title? It's an A tag, and the class, you use a dot for a class and use hash for ID. So the class here is active product title, right? And that's exactly what I put there. So you can see it as selected. The name here is Burbank. That's the name of the glasses. So for the price, it's something similar. This is it for the price. So we selected the div. I started with a div here, p price. That's a div with class p price. That's div.p price. Then we go down to the fourth element. That's div ends of type fourth element. Then we go down span. That's how we get the price. So web scraping, you really need to know how to write the CSS selectors, or experts. You only use experts when you're using maybe Scrapy or Selenium or some other things. But when it comes to Beautiful Soup, in which that's what we are using here, when it comes to Beautiful Soup, you need to know how to use CSS selectors. They come in very handy. So those are just the two main things we are selecting. And let me quickly run the code. Python test. So we see the glasses. It is going to print out the list of glasses. Burbank, real price 29.5. You can see everything well written out. These are the prices and the name of the glass. So as we are done writing the code, the next thing we need to do is to move it to AWS Lambda, right? So to do that, first and foremost, let me just create a folder. For that, I need the folder name to be okay. Without creating a folder name, I should still be able to do this. I need to run an installation pip. So we need to install these two packages. The way AWS Lambda works is AWS Lambda is a serverless platform. So we only have Python on it, right? But we don't have these Python libraries installed, right? These Python libraries are, should I call them third-party libraries? They are not libraries that come inbuilt with Python, like maybe the JSON library and some other libraries that are inbuilt. So these are third-party libraries you would always have to install, right? So that's what we want to do here. But now we don't just want to install these libraries to our local path, right? We want to install it to a particular file, and that's what we're going to be doing here. So pip install request bs4. We are just installing the request here, then the bs4, then to a target location, target. So this is where I will now name the folder. So let's say I just want the folder to be AWS glasses. Yeah, so that's what I want the name of the folder to be. Yeah, I guess that should work. Pip install this. Great. Control Shift P. So the folder should come up here, and once it's done installing. Let me just be sure of that. Yeah, so the folder is here. Sorry, let me just take this out. The folder has been in. So this is the folder with our packages, right? Another thing we would need to do is, let's copy this code. Inside this folder in which we have our libraries installed, we would have a file called lambda function. Is it lambda function.py? Let me check how it is named on AWS. What's the naming convention? Lambda function.py. Yeah, lambda function.py. So that's exactly what we are going to do. Lambda function.py. So if you can see the normal structure of a lambda function, I think this is the first thing I should even copy. Let me copy the normal structure of a lambda, because we need it to be under this function def lambda handler, right? So I paste this. So this is not our code. You see, the lambda function has to return something. Take note of that. So let's copy our code from test1. We copy the entire code, then we put it under this. Let me just put this well. Tab. So let's move the libraries to their own section. We don't need JSON here. We didn't use JSON. Yeah. So it needs to return something. We could still also print to see the results, but it has to actually return the list of glasses. I actually don't need to print, so let me just comment that out. So this is our lambda function we're using. So the next thing is to take this file and put it in our lambda function. You would ask, how do we do this? We need to upload it, but we can only upload it in a zip file. So let's zip this. I would prefer to zip it. I'm using a Windows, so I could just go go into the AWS classes. You see, I had to go into the main folder, right? Then you select all. Then you compress to zip folder, to a zip file. Hope I selected everything. Yeah. So this is the file here. Let me just rename it. I'll just rename it the same thing, AWS, or my AWS classes.zip. So after renaming it, I could choose to pull it out for easy identification. Oh, sorry. I just want to put it, yeah, a folder after this. So this is our zip file. So now let me, I think I can just drag and drop this, right? Let me drag and drop this onto my, this zip file. I want to upload it. So upload zip file to my AWS Lambda. So let me just try dragging and dropping this so it's easier for me. Oh, this is not it. Where is it? Aha, this is it. So let me try dragging and dropping it. Yeah, that's my zip file. You can just do the normal upload, but I choose to always drag and drop so I don't have to start looking for the file and all that. So you can see it's uploading my zip file and it should be ready anytime from now. Let me refresh. Let me try refreshing it again. I've actually uploaded it. Successfully updated the function classes website script. Yeah. So I could just try testing this. Let's see what shows here. I think the function should already be out. Oh, it's giving us a timeout. So first and foremost, let's go to the configuration to increase. I want to increase the timeout of this Lambda function. Let's just add here 2. So it's going to be 2 minutes 3 seconds. We are not going to use up to that, but there's no harm putting more time. So let's go back to the code. Our code should be reflecting by now. Yeah. So our code is reflecting by now. If it doesn't reflect, just refresh it. Like, this is one of the simplest ways to use Python libraries inside Lambda. Before, we needed to be using layers, but this makes it easier. So this is our Lambda function. It's returning this. So I could just test it here. So we are supposed to see the scraped list of glasses here. Yeah. So this is our list of glasses. So you see that was not too difficult. So from this, we want to be able to get this data in our make.com, right? Now there are 2 ways to do this, and I'll walk you through the 2 ways. The first way is we could, let me just drag this here. I still want to teach you more about AWS Lambda. We could add the trigger, right? And the trigger, that we want to be able to trigger this function. So we will add an API gateway. We're going to create a new API, right? HTTP API. I think this is cheaper, so we use this. We don't need any security since we are calling it from our own end. Yeah, so we have the API gateway now. I'll show you how nice this is. So this is the link. This is the endpoint we need. So this is the API endpoint. Now let me just show you something quickly. With this API gateway, once I do this, now I'm calling the function actually to run. So it's actually scraping the data, and this is the data. These are the glasses data from the website. You can see how it makes sense. So this is just a GET request. We just run it in the browser. So let me show you that same thing here. So let's write a module. See, I had to move the trigger timer. I just want to make a request. So I just want to send the same get request, right? Now, this request is to my Lambda function. This Lambda function, at the end of the day, you might need to maybe add some throttling so people don't call it, but I'll be deleting this Lambda function after it. So it's not like you're going to be able to use it from your end. But the way it is, you just understand anybody can call this function once they have the API, right? So some people might want to throttle the function. Throttle means I can reduce the amount of times you can call it, this particular function, or the amount of times you can trigger it, right? But this is just for this. I'll be deleting this function after this, so you wouldn't be able to call it. So you don't like use up my credits on AWS. So I've put in the URL and I want to call it from here. So I can just say, let me run this module only. So it's going to do the scraping for us too. So remember that this is the first way of calling AWS Lambda. So we go to the output. Remember, the output is the important part for us. We go under the data, and you can see we've gotten the data, right? Very nice. So you might want to ask, oh, what do we do with this data after this? You could do, you see, the main part is scraping it and getting data. With this first thing we did, we weren't able to pass the data in the way we wanted, right? But with this, going through AWS Lambda, you could write much more complex code depending on how difficult our scraping task is. We can write much more complex code and get the data we need out of it, right? That's the most important part. So something like this, I could say, let me I could pass this data to, let me see, I think I have some text I wrote here. Oh, pass the code to the website. Okay, I just want to be sure I'm covering everything right. Host it on AWS Lambda to API gateway. I've done that. Call the function from anywhere. Yeah, so let me just put it through ChatGPT to show just a little of what we can do. GPT, sorry. So create a completion. So you would have to connect your GPT if this is the first time, your ChatGPT. That's, you would have to put your token, your API token, and you have to also have a little credit there. So since I'm doing a small task and I want it to be quite accurate, let me just use the latest GPT-4. Okay, so the first thing we do is the system. I'll tell it, I want to analyze data. So I'll tell it the system message is you are a helpful data analyst. Yeah, so that's the system prompt. So the next would be a user prompt. The user prompt is, now what do I want to do with this data? Let me see. I want to take, for instance, let me just do something very simple. I want to get the most expensive glass and the cheapest glass, right? You would be given a list of glasses right, get us the most expensive glass and the cheapest glass. Right, so those are two things we want to get. I want it to return the output in JSON. Return the reason I want it to return it in JSON is in case you want to now use it for other things. It's easier to just use it in JSON. Return the output only in JSON format. So that is the first user prompt. So I want to use user and assistant, right? So user and assistant means I would give it examples. So let me just, I think I already have this somewhere else. I could just copy it to make it faster. I don't want this video to be too long because I'll be typing a lot. So it's better I just copy it and okay. So these are the examples I already had. So we are using a user. So this user is just, I'm writing the class, giving it an example. That's just what this is for. I'm giving it an example of how the data would come in. And I want to use an assistant to show it how the answer would look like. Right? This is very important while using ChatGPT. Like it helps it give you a better output. So this is the format I want the output to be in. So most expensive glass, you could tell me is Gucci. You could tell me the price. Then you could tell me the cheapest glass also. New design is the name of the glass, and then this is the price. So the next would actually be the data, which would be a user prompt. That's the actual data, which is this. So now let's run this. I think I've put everything in order. So you can see from this, you can use this data for other things, depends on what you want to do. But the main thing is your data, your script data, which is well formatted, is now in your, what's it called? In your make.com flow. So we've seen the most expensive glass, 29.95 Burbank. Hope I pronounced that well. And then we've seen the cheapest glass, which is Indianapolis. How do I pronounce that? Indianapolis, yeah. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Then the price is $9.95. Great. So this is the first way to call your Lambda function, right? So I'll show you the second way of calling the Lambda function. So it's great that I have to move the timer. It's great that make.com has AWS Lambda in it. Like make.com has a lot of modules. You just have to check and you might be lucky to find it. But in the case where you don't find it, you can use this. That's why I made this the first example. You can use the HTTP over an API and you still get your data. So once you really know how to use APIs and you know how to work with APIs, sending and getting data, you don't have much problem in your automations. So, but it's great that AWS Lambda, Amazon Lambda is provided for us. So let's invoke a function. We are going to be invoking the same function. Invoke a function. So I already did my connection, but if you haven't, you would need to get your AWS key and the secret key, right? And you also need to specify the region, but I've already done that connection and I wouldn't like to show you my keys, right? They are quite sensitive. So once you do that connection to your AWS account, in case you have problem doing that, you can just drop a comment in the comment section and I'll be happy to help you with that. So these are a list of my functions. Let me go back and check. Okay, I think I named it glasses website script, and I think that's the name of the function I'm trying to call. And that's all actually I can call it. You can see here I can also send things in the body if I want to, but there's no need for that. The code already has all what we need. So let's invoke this function. Let's see. Yeah, so we've gotten the data back. Yeah, same data. But the way we got this data back, you can see the first time we got this data back, it came back in a string, a JSON string we could just pass to the ChatGPT module, right? But the format this came in, we still need to let's look for a module that would pass this bundle body into, let's just do that. We need it in a JSON string so we can further pass it to our ChatGPT model. So we need to convert it to a string. So let's just use transform. We're actually transforming, yeah, transform to JSON string. So this is what we're going to do. We are going to be using the body. So you might want to see how that output would look like. Let's first see how this output looks like. It's a list of body. So I'm calling my function again, just so you can see the output in the transform to JSON. So we are transforming it to an actual JSON string that we can feed into our ChatGPT model. So you can see it came out in a JSON string. Oh, sorry, I want to show you this. A JSON string. Let me be very sure this is still recording. Yeah, it is. So it came out in a JSON string. Sorry. So we want to pass the same JSON string to our GPT model. Let me just clone this since I already have it, so I wouldn't need to duplicate so much. I wouldn't need to start typing it all over again. So for this, okay, it's loading. The only thing I need to change here would be this, the content. So the content would be this JSON string. So let's just run it, same thing, invoking our Lambda function, and let's get the data out. Yeah. So this is our result. Same thing, most expensive, Burbank, cheapest, Indianapolis. It gave us the same output. So with this, you can do any other thing you might have wanted to do with the data, like pass it to Flow, send it to your email, save it to Google Sheets, whatever, right? You could save it to a Google Sheet and then be comparing prices. Maybe every 5 hours you send the request to compare the price. So it depends on what you want to do with the data after that. So I hope with this you've been able to understand how AWS Lambda works, how to put your code on AWS Lambda, how to connect it to your two ways of connecting it to your make.com scenario or flow, and ways you can also use it after that. Yeah, I think that's all. If there are other videos you might want me to create about make.com, AWS Lambda, and other automations, you could just drop it in the comment section. I'll be happy to take on those videos and do a video for you. Yeah.